Vatican has led the Western world to believe that Sunday is the same holy day revered in the Bible. The Sabbath, Saturday, is the correct day, and there is not one verse in the Bible that backs Sunday keeping. Sunday is a creation of the offshoot of the Christianity that became the Roman Catholic Church. After all ideologies, nations and religions that challenge the Pope's power are neutralized, the Vatican will work through the United States to enforce a worldwide Sunday law. It's the beginning of a new world order religion. Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Jews, New Age, Baha'is, atheists, and Sunday-keeping Protestants will all keep Sunday, which will be enforced by the state by fine, imprisonment, and even death. This act acknowledges the Pope to be the supreme ruler of earth. Before this happens, the world will be warned with the three angels' message. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation, and kindred, and tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven, and earth, and the sea, and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead, or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up for ever and ever, and they have no rest day or night who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Revelation chapter 14 verses 6 to 7 proclaim that there is only one living God, and he alone deserves our worship, not only for the creation of our planet and our wonderfully designed bodies, but for giving the human race the gift of eternal life, paying for the iniquity of our transgressions, being nailed to the cross. Revelation chapter 14 verse 8. The book of Revelation uses symbols to explain prophecy. The symbolic use of Babylon depicts the Vatican and Rome, which has disseminated her pagan doctrines with a Christian veneer. Apostle Peter even described Rome as the new Babylon. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 13. The church that is at Babylon, elected together with you, saluteth you, and so doth Marcus my son. Ancient Babylon was a polytheistic religion including the worship of a sun god, which practiced on Sunday. The pure gospel was perverted, and the Roman Catholic Church was the result. Apostle Paul warned of this apostasy, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verses 7 to 9. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. Apostle Paul explained that error was creeping into the church, and that when the Western Roman Empire came to its end, the papacy would take its place, and the Pope would arise. Roman Catholicism is simply a mixture of Christianity and paganism. The same polytheistic religion of Babylon exists today within the walls of every Catholic church. The veneration of saints, which simply replaced the many Babylonian gods. Babylonian Semiramis, who became Mary, and the worship of a sun god, are all inventions of ancient Babylon. Even the statue of Peter is actually the pagan god Jupiter, that was removed from the Pantheon in Rome and placed in St. Peter's Basilica. The Babylonian god Utu, or Shamash, became Sol Invictus in the Roman Empire, worshipped as the sun god on Sunday, Dies Solis, the day of sun. Revelation chapter 17, verse 5, And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Mystery Babylon can be understood in this dictionary definition. Mysteries, the secret rites of Greek and Roman pagan religion, or of any ancient or tribal religion, to which only initiates are admitted. The practices, skills, or law peculiar to a particular trade or activity, and regarded as baffling to those without specialized knowledge. Revelation chapter 17, verses 5, explains that this mystery religion appears in the guise of Christianity, but really is Babylonian paganism, understood by high-ranking cardinals and Jesuits. Mother of harlots means that the Roman Catholic Church has harlot daughters, and these unfaithful offspring have been seduced by Babylonian doctrine. Sunday-keeping Protestants came out of the Mother Roman Catholic Church during the Reformation and clung to Sunday worship. Interesting enough is that the Vatican minted coins depicting herself, just as the Bible predicts. Revelation chapter 17 verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet colour, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. The cup that the woman is holding has a sun in it, depicting her fornication with the Babylonian religious sun worship or Sunday keeping instead of the Christian Sabbath. Purple and scarlet, also referring to Revelation chapter 17 verse 4, can be seen in the colours of priestly garments. Revelation chapter 14 verse 8 tells all people in this Babylonian system of deception to come out of her. Revelation chapter 14 verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. Firstly, a beast in prophetic language is a kingdom explained in Daniel chapter 7 verse 23. Since we have established the papacy as this beast, what is her mark? Sunday is our mark or authority. The church is above the Bible, and this transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact. The Catholic Record of London, Ontario, September the 1st, 1923. The Sunday is purely a creation of the Catholic Church. American Catholic Quarterly Review, January 1883. Sunday is the law of the Catholic Church alone. American Sentinel, Catholic, June 1893. The Fourth Commandment, Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. Even after the death and resurrection of Christ, the apostles kept the Sabbath, Saturday, and taught and founded all churches with the inclusion of the Fourth Commandment. The early churches, which included Gentiles in the region of Galatia, Corinth, Thessalonica and Rome, all kept Saturday as the Sabbath. Roman Emperor Constantine claimed that he had seen a vision with a cross in the sky with the writing In hoc signo vinces, translating to In this sign you will conquer. Constantine made a nominal conversion to Christianity, and under the influence of his apostate flatterer, the Bishop of Caesarea, named Eusebius, Constantine made a stately decree enforcing the change of the Sabbath day from Saturday to Sunday, amalgamating paganism and Christianity. Both pagans and Christians seem to be united in a shrewd political move, but at the cost of the Fourth Commandment. Remember to keep the Sabbath day holy. Under the enforcement of the state, many Christians compromised. This act was the beginning of mainstream Christianity keeping Sunday that has passed on through many generations. The Jesuit insignia IHS is said to be the Latinized version of Jesus in Greek. But Catholicism as a mystery religion has exoteric and esoteric meanings, like the inverted cross, Jupiter as Peter, and IHS as a Jesuit insignia, which are all well known by the inner circle of initiates. The IHS insignia includes a cross and 3 nails representing a V, which translates to In hoc signo vinces, in this sign you will conquer, with a sunburst. Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, had ambitious plans of conquering the world, using his illustrious order to bring absolute power back to Rome. The coat of arms for Jesuit Pope Francis has the Jesuit insignia on it as well, and it is prophesied that the Vatican will conquer in this sign of the cross and the sun, but only for a very short space of time until God's wrath comes upon them. The blazing sun in the IHS represents pagan Sunday worship, which is demonstrated in the monstrance. Revelation chapter 14 verse 9 tells us of a beast which is the Vatican and image, simply meaning a copy or replica. If any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the image of the beast simply means a replica of Rome. The United States, with all its Roman architecture, will enforce Rome's spurious Sabbath of Sunday. Apostate American Protestantism will be foremost in leading the charge of this breach of the US Constitution. The First Amendment guarantees freedoms concerning religion, expression, assembly, and the right to petition. It forbids Congress from both promoting one religion over others and also restricting an individual's religious practices. Revelation chapter 14 verse 9. If any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. Here the forehead symbolizes the seat of morals and choice by honouring Sunday as the Sabbath, and the hand signifies that by actions they will observe Sunday, not engaging in any work keeping the day holy. In Europe, Sunday is being marketed by the Jesuits using the European Sunday Alliance as a front, being a family day of rest. So individuals who receive the mark in the hand may be motivated by penalties that the state enforces or on the premise that Sunday be a family day of rest. Revelation chapter 13 verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Revelation chapter 13 verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. With the rapid development of technology, the implementation of the mark of the beast will be effortless, thwarting any buying or selling by those who resist the mark. Many think the RFID chip is the mark of the beast, but that does not fit the mark of the beast prophecy, though it is possible that it could be used to restrict the buy or sell. But there are other technologies that are more practical than the RFID chip.
Karin Linder stocks up on supplies at the supermarket, but Karin, like most people here in Sweden, won't be paying with cash when she gets to the checkout.
I personally never use cash. As you see here, I'm shopping. I use my scanner. When I check out, I'll use my credit card, and my banking I do on my iPhone. So that's it. I don't need any cash.
Revelation chapter 13 verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. The Pope's Latin title, Vicarius Filii Dei, has been strenuously denied in recent years by the Vatican, perhaps because it adds up to 666. However, the documentation goes all the way back to the donation by Constantine in the medieval times, the first pope being his successor. The Vatican has already admitted Vicarius Filii Dei to be the Pope's title in earlier Catholic publications, so they won't be weaseling their way out of this one anytime soon. The letters inscribed in the Pope's mitre are these: Vicarius Filii Dei, which is the Latin for Vicar of the Son of God, our Sunday visitor, April the 18th, 1915. Amazingly enough is that Vicarius Filii Dei adds up to 666 in Latin, Greek and Hebrew. Daniel chapter 7 verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. Daniel chapter 7 verse 25 speaks of the saints being persecuted for 1260 years by the Catholic Church, using the prophetic day year principle. Daniel chapter 7 verse 25 predicts that the Pope will change God's law, which happened with the change of the fourth commandment expanding Constantine's civil decree, the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. One of the biggest misconceptions is that Sunday is the seventh day of the week, when in fact the seventh day is Saturday. One only needs to look on your mobile phone or calendar to see which comes first, or just look it up on the internet. Sunday is in fact the first day of the week. Revelation chapter 7:25 also predicts that the Pope will change times. That happened as well. The Gregorian calendar, also called the Western calendar and the Christian calendar, is internationally the most widely used civil calendar. It is named for Pope Gregory XIII, who introduced it in 1582. Revelation chapter 13 verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. This simply states that the Vatican gives power unto the image of the beast, which is the United States of America in the form of apostate Sunday-keeping Protestantism, to persecute anyone opposed to the New World Order. Venerable Day of the Sun. Revelation chapter 14 verse 10. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb. Revelation chapter 14 verse 11. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up for ever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Revelation chapter 20 verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark on their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. In recent times, the drugs used for state executions have not always been readily available, and it is probable that the guillotine which Revelation chapter 20 verse 4 describes will make a comeback. Roman Catholic Clarence Thomas I believes that the Constitution left religion to the states, that the First Amendment's prohibition against Congresses enacting laws on the establishment of religion was intended to protect the right of states to do as they please. It is evident Clarence Thomas is Vatican coadjutor. The intent and motive of his views is so that states in America enact blue laws that are already on the book of some US states. Blue laws are laws designed to enforce religious standards, such as the institution of Sunday keeping. The book of Daniel, chapter 2, gives a prophetic outline of kingdoms that will reign on earth. Daniel 2:31-35. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut off without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, so that no place was found for them, and the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. The head of gold represents the kingdom of Babylon. The chest and arms of silver represent the kingdom of the Medes and Persians. His belly and thighs of brass represent the kingdom of ancient Greece. The legs of iron represent the Roman Empire, and the feet of iron and clay represent the mingling of churchcraft and statecraft, legislating the spurious Sunday as the Sabbath influenced by the papacy, which is simply a continuation of the Roman Empire represented by the iron. The stone that smote the feet of the image is the second coming of Jesus Christ, and the mountain is the kingdom which God will set up that lasts forever. A mountain represents a kingdom, authority, or rule. Psalm 30 verse 7, Isaiah 2 verse 2, Daniel 44 and 45, Revelation 17 verses 9 to 11. The metals in the statue of Nebuchadnezzar could also be said to represent facets of the last empire, the New World Order, the amalgamation of philosophies and ideologies of each kingdom. Babylonian sun worship, the Medes and Persians represent irreversible decrees as well as worship of a sun god. Greece represents democracy, human reasoning through philosophy, including evolution through Aristotle, as well as communism via Plato. Rome represents persecution, sun worship, and structure of the Roman Empire as a model of the New World Order. All these characteristics will be interwoven in the last empire. Revelation chapter 17 verses 12 to 13. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Revelation chapter 17 verse 12 states that 10 kings will arise that will give power to the Vatican for a short space of time before the coming of Jesus Christ. We can see that trading blocs like GAFTA, NAFTA and the European Union are rising throughout the world, and it is possible that these 10 kings represent the leaders of those unions that will give power to the Pope. On the 17th of September 1973, the Club of Rome published a report entitled The Regionalised and Adaptive Model of the Global World System, which was authored by Eduard Pestel and Mihajlo Mesarovic. The report revealed the club's intention to divide the world into 10 economic political regions called kingdoms, which would unite the entire world under a common leadership. These regions are North America, Western Europe, Japan, Australia and South Africa, Eastern Europe, Latin America, North Africa and the Middle East, Main Africa, South and Southeast Asia, South and Southeast Asia, Centrally Planned Asia. As we speak, there are 10 economical world regions: NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Association; SAFTA, South Asian Free Trade Area; AFTA, ASEAN Free Trade Area; CEFTA, Central European Free Trade Agreement; KISFTA, 8 CIS member states; COMESA, Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, GAFTA, Greater Arab Free Trade Area, GCC, Cooperation Council for the Arab States of the Gulf, CICA, Central American Integration System, TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership. These blocks might be adjusted and fine-tuned somewhat, but the Bible states that 10 kings will arise and give power unto the beast. These trading blocks give a basic outline, but by no means the final representation of the 10 kings.
So anyway, getting back to the Federal Reserve and the Bank for International Settlements, these groups are in cahoots with the biggest crooks of all, the Jesuits that bought up Bank of America, and they have little secret deals to try to apportion the riches of the world. And in the meantime,
the Vatican has large investments with the Rothschilds of Britain, France and America, and with the Hambros Bank, and with the Credit Suisse in London and Zurich. In the United States, it has large investments with the Morgan Bank, the Chase Manhattan Bank, the First National Bank of New York, the Bankers Trust Company, and others. The Vatican has billions of shares in the most powerful international corporations such as Gulf Oil, Shell, General Motors, Bethlehem Steel, General Electric, International Business Machines, TWA, etc. At a conservative estimate, these amount to more than $500 million in the US alone. Avram Manhattan wrote the Vatican Billions 32 years ago, and the Vatican is still maintaining absolute secrecy about its wealth, hiding behind such offshore companies as British Grulux Limited that manages the Vatican's London property portfolio, said to be worth around 570 million euros. British Grulux Investments' two nominee shareholders are listed as John Varley, former chief executive of Barclays Bank, and Robin Herbert, one of the many Catholic bankers. Managed share portfolios most often include shares in arms manufacturers, and Avram Manhattan pointed out the Vatican has shares in General Electric, the third biggest arms producer next to Lockheed and Boeing. General Electric produced the Gatling gun, among other weapons or parts. But because the Vatican hides its assets in secret behind the names of other companies, it is hard to trace exactly what companies they've invested in and how many shares they actually have. Pope Benedict XVI stated that the Vatican did not incur any losses in the 2007 to 2008 financial crisis. And there's very good reason for this. Rome is, or will be, soon controlling the world economy, for it is prophesied. Rome, the Vatican, is the new Babylon. Thanks to Edward Snowden, the world is now aware of the ubiquitous surveillance perpetrated by Roman Catholics who have infiltrated the highest levels of US government, including the NSA, CIA and FBI. The directors of these agencies are all Roman Catholics, and the US-Vatican merger is spying on the world, including industrial espionage. World business is simply a giant poker game so the US-Vatican can see everyone's cards before every hand. Information is power, and the NSA, CIA and FBI have all the information at their fingertips, passing the info to their chosen cronies. Not only industrial espionage, but the Vatican has knowledge of United States foreign policy as well, even before it happens from intelligence agencies and such US elite outposts such as Council on Foreign Relations and the Bilderberg Group, of which one of the founders was a crypto-Jesuit, Joseph Ratzinger. The Vatican uses proxies like Goldman and Sachs. Jesuits love using Jews as fronts, such as the Rothschilds and the long list of other Jewish bankers, including Federal Reserve chairmen such as Greenspan, Bernanke, and Janet Yellen, in the same ingenious way that the Protocols of Zion document was used to take the heat off the Jesuits and onto the Jews. So are the Jesuits hiding behind the Jewish bankers as ultimately all roads lead to Rome. Revelation chapter 18 describes Rome as the head of the world economy after the 10 kings give power onto the beast, the Pope, in prophecy. The symbolism used is very simple. Ships represent economic might, Chariots would represent automobiles, trucks, trains and the like. As it also mentions slaves, the business of human trafficking will increase until the second advent of Christ. Slavery experts believe that there is nowhere in the world where people are legally shackled, beaten and sold as if they were property. But the ILO's report 2012 Global Estimate of Forced Labour estimates that already 20.9 million people are victims of forced labour. Revelation chapter 18 verses 10 to 19. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls and fine linen, and purple and scarlet, and all thine wood, and all manner vessels of ivory, and all manner vessels of most precious wood, and of brass, and iron, and marble, and cinnamon, and odours, and ointments, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves, and souls of men. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city, that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster, and all the company in ships, and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads, and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate.